All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3.
Like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for February 20th, 2025. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Xbox has new AI tools to help people make video games, and nobody seems happy about it. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
I am doing surprisingly okay today, Grubb.
Yeah, we did it, everybody.
Had some sleep. That's right,
cool.
Scout. That's right, Scout. Sleep is cool, indeed, Grubb.
Did you eat a cinnamon roll? You've just been thinking about cinnamon rolls.
I've just been thinking about cinnamon rolls. I've been thinking about a lot of baked goods, Grubb.
Right.
I have this really odd idea for a donut that I don't want to share until I make it.
Okay.
And then I've been thinking about tiramisu a lot, but not like coffee tiramisu.
Sure.
I'll let this one out of the noggin, the brain chamber. But if you make it at home or try and steal it, cut the check. Thai tea tiramisu.
Ooh. Holy shit, that sounds amazing.
Think about it. Think about it.
It's been a minute since I had Thai tea. Thai tea is so good.
Yo,
I should get some Thai tea tonight. What if I just did that?
Grubb, go do it. Treat yourself, big dog. Have the gimmicks tried it yet?
Yes, they
Give
have.
them a little sippy sip.
They like it a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's just
beautiful.
Like condensed milk and a bunch of other stuff, right? Like it's all just good sugary deliciousness.
Yeah, it is a type of black tea. If you get boba or pearls in it, you could do that. But it is generally heavy cream or condensed milk.
Okay. Ooh, all right. Well, that's my plan for tonight, everybody. In the meantime, let's explain what we do here most weekdays. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, got through that. The voice is going to hold up, everybody. Don't worry, we're going to get through this. It's actually going to get better. I found out yesterday, if I use it, I don't lose it. So we're going to get in there and make this happen. Let's start the day off here with Xbox has built an AI model that can generate, quote, video game visuals and actions. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Microsoft has debuted a generative AI model that it says can generate game visuals, controller actions, or both. The generative AI model, which Microsoft has named Muse, was developed by Microsoft's game intelligence team in collaboration with Ninja Theory. It will be made open source to help other researchers explore these models and build on their work, Microsoft said. On Wednesday, Microsoft published several videos showing what gameplay sequences generated by Muse could look like. The company said that these examples were generated prompting the model with 10 initial frames, 1 second of human gameplay, and the controller actions of the whole play sequence. So basically, a human fed some stuff into the system saying, this is kind of what I'm going for, and then the game completed the rest. So, it's a weird thing. In our research, we focus on exploring the capabilities that models like Muse need to effectively support human creatives, reads a post on the Microsoft website from Katja Hoffman, the senior principal research manager and lead of the Microsoft Research Game Intelligence team. I'm incredibly proud of our teams and the milestone we have achieved, blah, 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 not only showing the rich structure of the game world that a model like Muse can learn, as you see in the video demo, but also, and even more importantly, by demonstrating how to develop research insights to support creative uses of generative AI models. Another side of this, Jan, is, and really what they're trying to say here is this stuff is for ideation. This is for people who have ideas and want to test those ideas out and get feedback on those ideas. This system is built to help with that. And I mean, I suppose I believe that as much as talking to the mirror about your ideas and hearing them said out loud can benefit you. I just don't know if I trust anything from the AI to be able to accomplish anything creative, like something that I will find super appealing. That doesn't mean that this is not a tool that someone could find useful. You know, the content aware fill tool was useful. Is this like that? Is that what we're talking about here? I don't know. But when you just say ideation, Jan, I'm like, well, ideas seem to be the least of our problems in video gaming. We have so many ideas, and everything else is the issue, right?
Yes, here's an idea, Microsoft. Why don't you muse this, muse all the money that you fucking made and stop firing all of your employees in lieu of using fucking AI? Jesus Christ, Phil, what the fuck?
That's the reality here, is that they say this is for ideation. This is for supporting human creatives. Well, you know,
what about all the human creatives that they had, Grubb, that they've laid off? Maybe even just this year.
Right. And then what happens when you decide the tool is like, well, now it's good enough. Now it's good enough to do a lot of these jobs we were having them support with, and they've learned, because this model is a learning machine. So it has improved itself by working with these human creatives, and now they can do that role as well. Do I really believe that you're going to be dedicated to this, hey, supporting human creative bullshit that you're spewing? No way. No way that's going to last. So yeah, like I think we're kind of over them just lying to our faces at a certain point, right?
Yes. Grubb, was it Sony that was trying to implement AI into like the player perspective to kind of predict which buttons they were going to press?
Negative latency from Sony.
Maybe Microsoft and Sony should finally just get in bed with each other and just have their AI machines make and play the games, and then we'll just get out of it. We'll just get out of that weird toxic relationship and just go over maybe to Nintendo that hasn't learned about AI yet.
Yeah, right. And it's going to be another decade or so before they figure it out as well.
I hate it, Grubb. I agree with you that AI tools can be beneficial when there are actual people using them, not when those AI tools are being trained by the people or learning from the people using them, only to eventually replace them down the line because it is cheaper to have AI in place of physical people.
Yeah, it's and for as much as they're promising that this will be just used in this one phase of development, we know what they really want from this. They want to, it's the way the whole system's set up, you know, that they want to make the most money while spending the least amount of money. And if this can eventually lead to them spending less money, that is the road they will continue to go down. So while it is limited now in what it's capable of, the thing that people always say about AI is right. It's the worst it's ever going to be today. Tomorrow it'll be better at all these things that it does, and in the meantime, it's like is it ever going to be good enough to replace people in every single one of these jobs? I mean, I think in the opinion of the people pulling the purse strings, yes, it will be. And so I'm continue to be most worried about that. Microsoft, had another thing here that they said about this. AI could be used to revive classic Xbox games. This is from Andy Robinson of VGC. Xbox is looking to utilize its just-announced generative AI model for the preservation of classic video games, it said. On Wednesday, Microsoft's gaming division announced Muse, a generative AI model that it says can generate game visuals, controller actions, or both. The company's main demonstration of Muse showed how it could generate video game visuals using training data from Ninja Theory's 2020 game Bleeding Edge. However, it also discussed how Muse could help preserve classic games in the future. Today, countless classic games tied to aging hardware are no longer playable by most people, said gaming AI corporate VP Fatima Kardar. Thanks to this breakthrough.
No, you can get their name wrong, Grubb.
Kardar. Yeah, you're right. Yes, yeah, fuck them. Thanks to this breakthrough, we are exploring the potential for Muse to take older back catalog games from our studios and optimize them for any device. We believe this could radically change how we preserve and experience classic games in the future and make them accessible to more players. To imagine that beloved games lost to time and hardware advancement could one day be played on any screen with Xbox is an exciting possibility for us. Maybe. This probably will happen. I always worry that it's like the AI models they use to upscale movies from like the 80s or whatever. James Cameron's Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays, right? They all kind of look a little bit off because they used a lot of AI upscaling on that stuff. And I don't know if this will be equivalent to that, but my head, that's where I go to first, where it's like, you don't have the people involved that know what it should look like, and a lot of times they don't have that now anyhow. They have they just kind of we'll hire a team out there to kind of do this on the cheap. So it's not like this isn't a problem now, but I think it could be a lot worse if everything just gets thrown into a machine that kind of upscales and improves and fixes compatibility in a similar way across the board. It could be like a really cheap imitation of what preservation should look like.
100%. It's also such a slap in the face, Grubb, of not only people on the developer side, but the player side that have been clamoring for re-releases or remasters, remakes of older games to just kind of make the solution a fix-all thing like AI. And what we will probably get on the other end is just like like a weird homunculi of an old game. Like, I talk a lot about Blinks the Time Sweeper, but I only have a fondness for that from playing it at a Toys R Us kiosk.
Yeah.
But I remember having a lot of fun with that. But that is a game with a very distinct art style, a very specific feel when you play. I don't think AI can necessarily feel how games should be played. And unfortunately, on top of AI coming for the jobs of developers out there, I also feel like the poor people that work at QA that are already and have been historically mistreated are going to continue to be mistreated and maybe replaced because companies will say, well, AI found all these problems. And the thing is, I don't trust them to find the problems.
Right.
They may be identifying stuff that isn't a problem. Like, Grubb, what if they get rid of double jumps because they think people can only jump once?
That's right. That's and I would quit gaming if they got rid of the double jump. It's the only thing that makes me happy, Jan. So I would need it.
But 100%. But also, just like it leaves a very weird taste in my mouth, and I can't imagine the regular Xbox console user wants this either.
That's
some of that isn't super plugged in, right?
Right. Yeah. That like who is all of this information for? I mean, we know who it's for. It's for investors as always.
Yeah.
But that's not how they presented it. They presented this as like the next big exciting thing that they should be talking to consumers about. It is a weird way to kind of push this out front and center when it's like, not every tool that a company builds. I guess what they're really doing here is they put it in the journal Nature. So they submitted a research paper about this stuff to the journal Nature, and they're making it open source, and they want other people to find out about it so they can help improve it or whatever. I suppose that's probably what this is all really about, like why they presented it this way. But it's kind of odd that they kind of keep putting these things out for like, hey, consumers, aren't you excited about this? And it's like, why is this the thing you always keep? Like, you guys really haven't told us about all the other tools you built to making games easier, for your developers and your creatives. Why is this the thing you keep coming back to? And it's because investors want to hear about it, and because they are at a little bit of an impasse with this stuff. It's expensive to run these generative AI models. It requires a ton of energy, huge databases, things that they continue to have to build infrastructure for and invest in. And so they kind of have to like fake the hype for it a little bit so they can justify these costs as they try to get over the hump of, hey, here's where it's at right now. You could kind of give it some button presses and some ideas, and it can help riff on those with you for a little bit, for a few more frames, a few more seconds, the next 10 minutes or so. The idea here clearly would be, we're going to take this stuff and eventually it's going to be able to make a whole game on its own. And at that point, we'll be able to like take the best of the ideas and kind of glom that all together and make a final product. And of course, humans will still be involved then, they will promise. But that we are so far away from that now, and it's going to require another order of magnitude of investment that they kind of have to, again, keep faking the hype for this in the meantime. It's annoying.
It reminds me of the initial hype trailers or hype presentations behind Google Stadia, where they showed like, oh, you can map this art style to this level. Like, this is going to be a very collaborative tool. Like, maybe this gamer will look at this level through like this aesthetic or that aesthetic. It just reminds me a lot of that, because it eventually winds up going nowhere.
Nowhere.
And Grub, like anytime I hear AI, I can't speak for everyone, but I just want to vomit. Because it feels like it is beyond. We quickly went past the phase of it is a buzzword to, hey, we got AI. You want to come in, buddy? Like, no, stay far away from me.
Yeah.
It just becomes like a signifier. Like, nah, I'm not interested in whatever you're talking about at all. I was scrolling through the internet, Grub, and someone suggested, hey, you should take your journals, your intimate journals and your intimate thoughts about yourself and put it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will summarize that and tell you what you should be doing to improve yourself.
Oh,
and I don't want that.
That's not.
That's terrible advice.
That's a terrible idea. Yeah, it's like I mean, I get the sort of hey, let's help people who struggle with organization. So they'll be like, hey, here's a bunch of like random notes I wrote down. Can a tool put that stuff in a bullet pointed list so I understood, like I can understand my own thoughts? I can see that. Or the sort of, you know, what was it, Wilson? The IBM machine, the Watson. It was IBM Watson. This is like 15 years ago. IBM Watson was like better at diagnosing cancer than oncologists. And it's like, that was all kind of the birth of a lot of the AI that we have now. And it's like, okay, that sounds fantastic to me. You built a tool with a specific data set in mind to attack a simple thing that is, here's the data, here's the imagery, here's what a person's symptoms are, here's their blood work. Take that information and tell me what's going on. And you could do this better than a human. Fantastic. I see all of that. Or even like having a conversation about a very well documented and understood topic that you don't understand, and being like, hey, is this right? And the AI going, look, that's close to right. Here's where you're wrong. Here's some ideas. Here's some other questions you should be asking. I see that. It's just this idea that we are going to replace the fun stuff that humans get to do to express themselves and to feed themselves before we understand like what the next economic system is going to be, because clearly we are coming to the end of capitalism. The idea that we are just going to like keep barreling down this road and have this replace everything is absurd. It's a bad idea. And the idea you brought up of have it tell you what you should be doing based on your thoughts. No, that's being human. You get to decide that on your own. Why would you give that up ever? It's crazy.
100%, Grub. And the other aspect of this that I fear is that, okay, they're going to use this for ideation, and maybe they will implement this to remake a game. Perhaps it Blinks the Time Sweeper. People are clamoring for it. I then feel bad for the devs that are going to have to go in and undo all the messed up stuff that AI has already implemented, and like untangle all of the problems that it's created under the short timeline that the game has been given, because, oh, we save so much time by using AI. You devs can go fix it real quick because we got to ship this in 3 months. And the part that feels especially icky and gross is that those devs working on that AI remake are probably super low on the ladder in terms of pay and benefits. They're probably like being abused, could be abused in the future, and like nose to the grindstone because there are a limited amount of human employees now.
Yep, it's frustrating, and I think that we will probably get to a point where we have to sort of just always, we're all gonna have to reckon with this in our lives one way or the other. And I think people that are using AI tools to like write emails, I don't give a shit about that anymore. Whatever, go do your thing. I don't do that, but I barely write emails. But hey, if like the fun stuff, why are we continuing to try to erode that? And like you said, the people that are gonna have to go in there and fix these problems when things do go wrong, it's gonna get to a point where, you know, no one really understands how to fix the problems, and we have that a little bit as like people move on from one programming language to another, and we're seeing that happen with COBOL right now, and that's been a long time coming. But like people are like, all of the information about how to even fix this is not going to be held by human beings at all anymore. And right now, in a lot of cases, the like how to like get into things, how things work, how the world works is held by a small group of people, and it's like, well, they're going to take that away, and even that small group of people are not going to have an understanding of it, and so it's going to be this, crystals and people throwing salt over their shoulder trying to get the machine to work, and we're just going to be sort of lost. Like, that's obviously worst case scenario, but I do think that that is sort of the path we continue to trend down in every way with this kind of technology.
Yeah, the people that ultimately make the decisions and in charge and are at the steering wheel are, instead of driving down the safe road, deciding to careen into the ravine that is AI.
Yeah. Our Wolves in chat makes a very good point. Even AI porn is awful. If you can't figure out porn, then your technology isn't worth shit.
Actually, let's talk about this.
Hit me. This is all right. You.
Okay, we don't need to dive into why I know this, but the adult industry has been a front runner in terms of internet advancement and technology. The VHS tape was widely adopted because of the adult industry. Right. Same thing with DVDs, especially streaming. Yes. Okay, and Grubb, we wouldn't have Twitch. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the adult industry. And if the adult industry is quickly skewing away from AI because even the adult industry, which is incredibly exploitative, understands that AI is bad, then that's saying something, dog. Mm-hmm. If there are adult actresses and actors out there that are saying like, no, don't do that. Don't scan my body. Don't reuse my body. And they're standing up for it more than Hollywood award-winning actors, that says something, Grubb.
Yep, they would know. They would know when exploitation when they see it. And I'm with them. I'm with the adult film stars, everybody, and I'll always be that way.
That's right. Invite us to the AVNs this year.
We can get work to pay for that trip, I'm sure. All right, let's keep going here. Ex-Bungie. Okay, let's get the tone right on this one. Ex-Bungie director's creepy text to female employees released by Sony in ongoing lawsuit. This is from Zach Zweisen at Kotaku. Sony is firing back at court in the ongoing lawsuit between Bungie and former Marathon director Christopher Barrett. The Bungie veteran sued the studio in late 2024 after he was fired over alleged misconduct. He called the investigation a sham in his lawsuit. Now Sony has responded and published some very creepy text messages that Barrett sent to female employees. He sued Sony after getting fired, saying they've only fired him because they did not want to pay him the $45 million that they owed him. So he sued them. And at the time, there was always like going around, it's like, that seems like a poor choice because they did sue you, or they did fire you for misconduct, and they have evidence. Well, now we have a lot of that evidence. As reported by GameFile on February 19th, Sony's 128-page court filing includes 9 text messages Barrett allegedly sent female employees at Bungie. Sony's lawyers say that these messages show a pattern of misconduct. The document was filed last week, according to GameFile. In one message, Barrett asks a female Bungie employee, "Are you still in PJs? And is it like a button-down or button-down tops and bottoms, sweatpants, Lululemons?" In another message, Barrett called a woman the Holy Grail and added, "I'm not hitting on you. I hope it doesn't feel like that. I'm married, but I could be honest. You are the 0.00001% and better be treated like that forever." Now you'd be like, okay, message like that, completely unacceptable. But it's like, did he just like trip up on this one woman? The weirdest thing is like, okay, they're victim 1 and he talks to her like this. And then victim 2 talks to her like this. Victim 3 talks to her like this. Victim 4 talks to her like this. It just keeps going and going and going. And Jan, these people are from another fucking planet. How do you treat people this way? I guess these dirty little nerds get a little bit of power and just begin lording it. They're like, oh, suddenly I can do this to women and get away with it. This is what I've been waiting for my entire life. I cannot fathom this. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. Grubb, it's fucking gross. These fucking losers. Let's just call them what they are.
Yep.
Fucking absolute douchebag losers that get one modicum and taste of power and they think that they're hot shit, when in reality, hey, you got to your job maybe because you were skilled in some field, but that doesn't erase the type of shitty person that is underneath there. It isn't hard to be a decent human being, especially with your female or non-binary cohort. Don't be an asshole. Also, this dude has a wife, so you are like the bad type of dog. Mm-hmm. And to double down, knowing that you sent these texts to not just one victim, but several victims, and you had the audacity to claim that Sony was trying to besmirch you or whatever. You a piece of shit, dog.
Yep. I mean,
You a loser.
It's very representative of the kind of, oh, I'm a nice guy nerd. I'm going to tell you all the things that, those tough guys won't tell you that you are always going out with or whatever. And so they just get in their heads that they are the nice one. And so the things that they are saying are okay. Even when it clearly makes people feel uncomfortable. He was formally reprimanded in writing to not do this and then kept doing it. He got drunk one night and was like, he called one of his employees that had already asked him to stop and kept her on the phone for hours. And eventually she just hung up on him, even though clearly she was afraid to hang up on him because he's her boss. Everything came to a head eventually, and we are here now. I think to me this is the kind of poison that is through so many of these people that consider themselves to be nerds or whatever that have now found themselves in power. And I'm 100% talking about Elon Musk's and Mark Zuckerberg's and all these fuckos that just think, hey, because I am not violent, the way that I go about things is preferable and should be protected, and I can get away with things. And really, they are just using their power, which is in many ways a threat of violence of its own, of, hey, I control your job, I control your life in many ways, and I can wield that against you, and you understand that, so let me say whatever I want to you. This is a problem. We've not gotten a hold on it. I don't know what we do, but we have not been able to get a hold on it, and it's gotten out of control, and now it's everywhere. And it's, this guy, him getting in trouble, fantastic, great. I hope he doesn't get his $45 million. Doesn't seem like he's going to. But boy, this is just one tip of the iceberg, and there are a lot of fucking icebergs out there. It's rough stuff. All right. Space Marine 2 developer is making a game based on tentpole Hasbro IP. This is from Ollie Welsh and Charlie Hall at Polygon. Hasbro, the toy company that owns Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Transformers, and more, has announced that it's making a AAA video game with the Saber Interactive team that made Space Marine 2. The news came straight from Hasbro CEO Chris Cox during an earnings call on Thursday. Cox said that the game would be based on one of Hasbro's tentpole IPs. They didn't specify. Jim, what do you think makes the most sense?
Sorry, I was reading the court case. Point 67, as Doomsday Dan had pointed out in chat. Christopher Barrett should probably just trip forever.
Yeah, should just walk into the ocean and with some weighted pants.
Yeah. Space Marine 2 making a game based on tentpole Hasbro IP. Grubb, could it be G.I. Joe?
Yeah, that's actually a really fun idea. I think the one that most people seem to be going to is Transformers, because you could just see the big heavy units mapped onto Space Marine 2, but I don't think that there's any reason to assume it has to work that way, right? It could be any number of things. You can make G.I. Joe guys big and heavy if that's what's required to make this game make sense. But of course, that's not how making games works. So yeah, I think a fun one would be a G.I. Joe. Do you think that counts as tentpole IP from Hasbro these days?
I think so. It's feel close. Right. It isn't at the same level as Transformers currently is within the cultural zeitgeist. That animated Transformers movie came out, I think, last year. That was pretty okay.
Yeah, I've been watching it. I mean to. It apparently was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And there was that whole G.I. Joe movie initiative, and then they made that Snake Eyes movie a couple of years afterwards. I could see them trying to spin the gears back up for a G.I. Joe game from the Space Marine 2 team. We were kind of in a hole for third person shooters or action adventure games like how Space Marine was. There isn't a Gears of War currently out right now, so maybe you could substitute the G.I. Joe folks into that. What else does Hasbro have other than...
So let's think about what this studio's done recently. They did not DayZ, World War Z. I can't see how I made that mistake. World War Z, and then they did Space Marine 2. And the things that those two games have in common is this technology of a bunch of enemy units sort of swarming in and climbing on top of one another and scaling walls and getting at you. What if you replaced the whatever the hell they were in Space Marine 2 or the zombies from World War Z with putties from Power Rangers, and you're just fighting off waves of putties?
Hey, Grubb, you're speaking my language, big dog.
I think that's it. I think we nailed it.
Space Marine 2 team, you need someone to just hang out in your office and talk about Power Rangers and get oddly excited at weird times? Cut the check.
We know a guy that can do some voices for it as well, and also Jan, get your boy Jan in there as well.
Yeah, me and Matt Shipman, award-winning Power Rangers podcast that I should probably just put out on Spotify at this point. It was behind the premium thing. I'll get Matt on the line.
We'll see what this turns into, but I'll say that I like that Space Marine team.
Yeah,
I like a lot of what this Saber, what Saber has done. They're definitely a publisher / studio that you could tell tries to do things in an affordable and sometimes cheap way. And I think you could see that in many of their other games. But they've got some games that I just really like, sort of without caveats. So I'm always rooting for them. I hope that they're able to make this make sense. They're very good at working with IP too. Now, the Warhammer IP, very easy to work with. It seems like they give that to everybody and sort of just let them go. I hope other IP holders are learning and be like, let's just behave like the Warhammer people, and that could work. All right.
I understand that. Sorry, Grubb. I understand that Transformers is probably the easiest thing to translate all of their existing stuff to. But Grubb, what if it's a gritty Peppa Pig story?
I mean, that would be exactly for me. I want to see that now. You know what? I'm getting my phone's going off. Let me make sure that nothing bad has happened, because my wife is out of town and my kids were not feeling great when we went to school today. Nope, looks like we're good. All right, no emergencies today. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, plenty still to talk about, including how great that Last of Us Online mode was that got canceled. Right after this. All right, let's get right back into it. Former PlayStation boss Shuhei Yoshida played The Last of Us Online and thought it was great. That's from Alex Coe at DualShockers. Did you know that The Last of Us Part 2 was initially conceived to feature a multiplayer component titled The Last of Us Online? It was then known as Factions until Naughty Dog canceled it in 2023. While not much is known about the canceled game, former PlayStation boss Shuhei Yoshida has played it and said it was great. In an interview, Yoshida talked about Naughty Dog's live service game. The idea for The Last of Us Online, this is a quote now, the idea for The Last of Us Online came from Naughty Dog, and they really wanted to make it, Yoshida explained. But Bungie explained to them what it takes to make a live service game, and Naughty Dog realized, oops, we can't do that. If we do it, we can't make Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet. So that was a lack of foresight, Yoshida said. And we talked about this at the time when Factions got canceled. This is what I heard, is that they were feeling mostly like they thought they had a fun game, but they were looking at like what it would take to support the game in a live service environment for an extended period of time. And that's not just, keeping the game running. That is making new deals to bring in skins that make sense for the game. Skins that like you didn't have to like adapt to the Last of Us Factions environment so it looks right. That stuff all takes a massive amount of time. It might not pay off because people might be like, well, where are my Transformers? I just want that in there. I don't need another dirty shirt. But like that, they wanted to keep things sort of, right for The Last of Us. And all of these, hey, we're going to do things the Naughty Dog way, were kind of the opposite of how you get a live service game off the ground and keep it running for a long period of time, while also then being able to make another massive game alongside that. So they just realized once they talked to Bungie, that was the part, like that was like the first conversation Bungie had with anyone outside of like once they got acquired by Sony. It was, let's go over to Naughty Dog and see what's going on. And that conversation directly led to everyone realizing we can't actually release this game. Does it hurt a little bit more to hear that it was great, Jan? Because that's a bummer. It's like, can't they just put this out as a mode in the game itself?
Yeah, this sounds interesting. I enjoyed The Last of Us 1's multiplayer for as limited and small as it was. I was hoping that there'd be a multiplayer component in Last of Us 2. Let's all be miserable together and dirty together. It just feels odd, though, Grubb, that they would get this mode into a playable state for someone like Shuhei to play, and at that point in time to figure out, nah, we don't got the resources to keep this running.
Yeah.
It just feels like something like, if you have that big of a team, you have that much support, that much money going into this part of the game, shouldn't you have made that decision earlier? And I get it, kind of, that all these companies are going for that live service cash flow.
Right.
But there had to have been the realization earlier in the process, before all of these resources were already spent, that maybe we can't do this. Maybe we shouldn't do this before putting in that work to do it.
Yep. It's it is a very weird thing, and I think it goes back to no one really learns from other people's mistakes, right? You don't look over at Bungie and be like, man, that looked really tough, and they kind of even didn't figure it out with Bungie 2, or with Destiny 2, excuse me, and they had a lot of the same problems and a lot of new problems with Destiny 2 that took a while to sort out. And so even the people that learn from their experience aren't learning all the right lessons all the time. So when we try to go do this and we say, all right, we're going to either learn from other people or we're going to figure out how to do it on our own, live service every time kind of just eats people alive. And you kind of have to just go through it to figure it out. And that's the terrible thing that happened here, is they made a game that people thought was great and fun to play, and they couldn't release it because they didn't know how bad it would be to keep it going. That's rough stuff.
Yeah, it's so odd to look at the patterns, Grubb, and that how a multiplayer mode was being ham-fisted into almost every AAA game, and sometimes it worked.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of folks like the Mass Effect multiplayer mode.
Right.
And now, not only are some games trying to get that multiplayer mode, but there's also trying to be ham-fist some type of live service stuff. And you're right, no one is learning from each other. They're all off into their own individual silos, and the only thing they've heard is live service makes money, without realizing the long process to go through that.
Yep.
And I don't think anything can reach Fortnite at this point. Like, there's going to be a different thing that blows up and is big, but it is not going to be Fortnite levels.
Yep, not for a very long time. I just, the most frustrating aspect of this to me is that they made a fun live service multiplayer game, and they couldn't find some way to just be like, well, let's just strip out all the stuff that we can't maintain and just release it as a bonus for The Last of Us Part 2 remastered or remake that we made that. They put that out. At that time, they could have been like, we know what's going on. Let's get this mode ready and just put it out as part of this release. And because it's not going to survive as a live service game, they can't justify the cost it would take to do that, I suppose. It stinks. It's like, hey, we used to just get these modes in games. And I'm not someone who needs a multiplayer mode in every game. But the fact that they made it, and now we're never going to get to play it because it doesn't work as this live service business model, that is very annoying. I don't care about your business models. Just let me play the fun thing you made.
Yeah, I feel the same way with that multiplayer Spider-Man game that was leaked a year or two ago. Like, I want to just swing around with my friends. Let me do that.
Yep. I guess Simonice is asking, do you think there's a chance they're holding back what they worked on for maybe to add as a mode for Last of Us Part 3 way down the line? I maybe, but I think by then, like, the sort of the tech debt and things would be so out of date, unless they were actively maintaining this thing that they're not going to use for another 5 years probably. That seems very unlikely. I don't know. Yeah,
maybe this could be like an break in case of emergency dealio, Grubb, of like, people are tired of The Last of Us. Season 2 didn't take off as much as we wanted it to. Let's go bust out the multiplayer mode.
Yep.
And now everyone can take out their frustrations on Pedro Pascal for being too handsome.
Yeah, get his ass. All right, let's see here. Mouthwashing coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch in 2025. And sales for the game, excuse me, have already topped 500,000 units. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Publisher Critical Reflex and developer Wrong Organ will release PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and Switch versions of horror game Mouthwashing in 2025, so this year. There's also going to be a physical edition for PlayStation 5 and Switch from Fangamer, so that's pretty neat as well. Seems like this game has really found its audience. That How Fish Was Made game that they kind of worked on before this was a cult hit, had its audience. People would tell each other about it, but it wasn't selling 500,000 copies and then going to PlayStation. So this is a pretty good breakout hit for them.
100%. If you haven't checked it out and you have the means to play it now, go ahead. I strongly suggest you check it out. But fantastic that this is going to be able to reach a whole new type of audience with it releasing to console and physical for the physical freaks out there. This game still occasionally pops up in my brain.
Oh yeah,
Grubb. So if you are looking to further throw yourself into the abyss because the abyss of the real world is stressing you out too much,
correct,
go have an internal ego death and go play Mouthwashing.
Hell yeah.
And
that's
also
right now.
Go actually wash your mouth, folks.
Yeah, that's
go
pretty good.
Not only brush your teeth, don't just floss, don't just use mouthwash, scrape your tongue as well.
Yeah, gotta get that tongue scraper. What's your mouthwash tech these days? They got that a new brand that's popping off. I can't remember what it's called.
Therma Breath,
yeah,
I believe.
Therma Breath. Yeah. That's my Jimmy Jam now.
It's good stuff. It's got an orange cap. Dentist recommended. Keeps your breath fresh for 12 hours, supposedly.
I think it works better than anything else I've used. I gotta say, at least I feel cleaner, which is nice. All right, Lego Game Boy price / release date and piece count appear online. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. More details about that upcoming Lego Game Boy set have appeared online for those physical freaks we were talking about, Jan, including the price. The news comes from Falcon Brick Studios, an Instagram account with a long track record of posting information about Lego sets before it is publicly shared. The account claims that the set will be released on October 1st, will cost $60, and will include 421 pieces. In comparison with other branded Lego, this is somewhat more expensive than is typical. For example, Lego Harry Potter Night Bus Adventure Set, which included 500 pieces, that's more, only costed, was priced at $50, so $10 less. That's, I think that's a harbinger for price increase for per brick Lego costs going forward, or what?
Grubb,
is that Nintendo just getting theirs?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Lego knows and realizes they've captivated and captured the freaks out there, the people that want these physical models. It's so wild to see the transition from Legos being like a very nerd and niche thing to now 100% taking its place and being part of the cultural canon.
Yes.
It's wild that it's only 421 pieces and it costs $60, but it is like a licensed Jimmy Jam.
Right, those usually are more expensive for sure, but Harry Potter license isn't going to be cheap, and that costs less. So I think you're onto something, like capturing the freaks, the Nintendo freaks. This is like a long-term deal for them. They're going to be making Nintendo stuff, and based on right now they're doing a lot of the hardware stuff. They've got the Mario things as well. I think they've done a Zelda thing, maybe like a Pikmin thing even, but they're just getting started. There is going to be years and years and years and years of them making stuff based on Nintendo products, and I think they think that is probably worth whatever IP premium they have to pay.
Grubb, I thought about trying to purchase this when it eventually goes live, but I will 100% buy a Lego Game Boy SP.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And I hate myself for that.
I mean, the SP is just like such a perfect thing.
I never had a GameCube, but the GameCube would be a fantastic set.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would probably be a pretty easy one, too. Yeah, I would love to see that. That'd be pretty cool. It's already a brick. Okay. Pokemon Presents presentation confirmed for this month. This is from My Nintendo News. The Pokemon Company International has confirmed that the special Pokemon Day Pokemon Presents presentation That's quite a thing to say. Will take place on Thursday, 27th of February. The Pokemon Presents kicks off at 6 a.m. Pacific time. It's not clear what the runtime is, but the event is sure to shine a spotlight on the upcoming Pokemon Legends ZA for the Nintendo Switch family of systems. How you feeling about this, Janet?
Why do they do this to me, Grubb? This feels targeted. This continues to feel targeted.
I'm sure
that they do this at 6 a.m. They know that I like Pokemon, but why?
Yep.
Why 6 a.m.? Push it at least to 7. Why?
Yeah.
I gotta walk scout. I gotta wake up and do my morning jazz. Come on, Pokemon.
Yeah, it's what time would that be in Japan? I guess that would be probably.
I don't care. It's inconvenient to me, Grubb.
But it's like everyone else like does these kinds of things at a time where it's like this seems to work for everybody, and it's a little bit more reasonable for us. I guess this is 9 a.m. for me. I'm not complaining. I'll be fine.
What if I was located in Hawaii, Grubb?
Okay, we didn't think about the Hawaiians. And they've got a lot. The Pokemon runs deep in Hawaii. Come on, show
they
some
have
respect.
a whole region that's based off of Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. And
We're gonna do Game of the Year this year in Hawaii.
That's right. Oh yeah, we got to remember that for the catch up. All right, yeah, they'll have a bunch of news here. There's also apparently rumors going around that there will be a new Switch OLED bundle released on February 27th. Now that could just happen at the Pokemon Presents, but maybe that'll happen on a separate Nintendo announcement. Maybe that's the thing that PH Brazil has been talking about that I've also heard rumors about, but again, can't pin down. So yeah, we'll see. Pokemon ZA bundle with an OLED. Maybe it's a custom job, custom gimmick or something like that. You're probably not going to hop on that at this point, right? Because Switch 2's imminent. Oh, Jan.
Grubb.
Oh, Jan.
Grubb. No, I think I might. I think I might finally pull the trigger. Because it'd be OLED and it'd have a fun Pokemon on it.
That's true. Hey, the OLED is fair. And Switch 2 won't have an OLED screen. So, but you are sick, Jan. Yes.
We know this. Why is everyone acting like we're shocked here? All right.
Okay, here. Interesting. So according to Bill Coon, who leaked this, I think, it is a Mario Wonder Switch OLED bundle.
Less interested now. Okay.
So $350. It is not themed, so it's just a regular system, it looks like. It's the white model. And then it comes with Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Okay, that's more interesting. So that probably does mean that would be something that Nintendo would announce on its own separately. Clearly it would be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
My hopes and wishes for this Pokemon Presents. Obviously, I want to learn more about what Pokemon ZA is going to be. I do kind of enjoy the theories that people are throwing around that it could also be a city builder or town management game. That could be cool coming from.
They definitely showed off some stuff that suggests that for sure.
Yeah. If it is like the similar gameplay of catching and battling and finding Pokemon like Arceus was, 100%, let's go do that. I also want to see potential remakes. I would love another Let's Go Pikachu Eevee game for the Johto region. Those games are just so much fun. I'm curious to see if there are any updates with some card stuff with the mobile app. I've fallen off of it, thankfully. But I want to know what cards we got, Grubb. Also, my strongest desire is just let me fight the Pokemon. Not poking, whatever we're calling it. Just give me an easier battle simulator like Pokemon Showdown. That's all I want, Game Freak. That's all I want, Pokemon. Let me fight my little dudes.
Is Pokemon Showdown that website that like people use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They use it for math and like simulating battles and just doing all sorts of jazz.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That Pokemon Go or Pokemon card game, which I can't remember the name of right now. It feels like they figure out a lot of stuff that's like, hey, we know what people want and delivered it for the most part. Maybe they're onto something. Maybe like something like that could happen. But boy, I think they want to kind of keep people in the games.
Also, was it for the 3DS Pokemon Dynasty? It was a tactics Pokemon game with tiles. Give me that.
Right.
Please.
Pokemon Conquest? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Conquest, I think. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Well, we'll see. We won't have to wait long because February's almost over, Jan. What is going on? This is crazy. We're February 20th.
No.
This is a week away, this thing that we're talking about. So, yeah. And then 2 days later, it'll be March. So, yeah, lot of time just flying by once again. Let's get to the poll question. All right, here we go. Which remake would you want more? Your options were for this poll: Tony Hawk's Underground 1+2 or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, and 58% went with 3+4. 42% though want to see Thug 1 and +2. I think really what this is there's a lot of people who want both, Jan, and they're like, let's just go in order. Let's get 3+4, then we could do Thug after that. And that I hope that's how it goes down.
I 100% hope that as well. While I do have fonder memories of Thug 1, I did not like Thug 2 because of how much jackass content there was. So 3-4, please. More Tony Hawk, please. Someone.
This is like now an open secret. Like I heard about it a year ago, and now Ecstasys, who has done a bunch of leaking, not always 100%, but whatever, has said this as well. And I think a bunch of people are saying it's 3+4. That's what I've heard. So expect 3+4. Really kind of can't wait to see who's making it though. Probably Toys for Bob because that's what Lucy said, but probably not Toys for Bob because that's what Mike said. So I'm going to go with Lucy on this one. Okay. All right. We got a new poll question. Before we get to that though, Jan Ochoa, what do we have going on that we should tell people about?
We got a whole lot of stuff going on today, Grubb. You yourself will be popping over with the GameSpot homies and playing a bit of Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Is that the name of the game? I always forget.
I think so, yes.
It's just such a dumb name that it's love. Perfect. Also, we will have Voicemail Dump Truck later today. Another episode of Game Mess Mornings tomorrow. Probably a BCR. Probably a UPF as well.
Yep.
Who knows?
It's going to be a good time. No matter what.
Yeah.
All right. New poll question. I'm just curious. I want to see what people say to this question. I'm like in my head, it's like, oh, it's going to be maybe more people than we think, or maybe it's going to be a way lower than we think. I don't know. So the question is, do you use AI tools for your work? Yes or no? Define that how you want. But, I would say like if you ever have like, whatever it's called from Google, write an email for you, definitely that counts. I don't know if like I would count content aware fill or something like the stuff inside of Photoshop.
Yeah.
Probably would these days, but I don't know.
If you feel comfortable, I would also like to see in the comments what specific tools you use as well.
Yeah. Maybe just give us a little bit of an insight. Maybe we can kind of go through some of that stuff. I get the sense that a lot of people are just kind of using stuff that like they're taking the parts that might be a little useful to them, and the rest of this bullshit they don't even see. Let's get some responses and we'll see what people say. All right, that poll question will show up on Game Mess Mornings tomorrow here on Giant Bomb. Of course, like Jan said, speaking of Giant Bomb, we will have about an hour from now. I think they'll be streaming to the Giant Bomb Twitch as well. This hanging out with the GameSpot crew and playing Yakuza. So we'll see. Look out for that. It'll be a good time, everybody. And in the meantime, I think that covers everything. Jan Ochoa, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's the only way to start a Thursday, Grubb.
And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. All right.